Today, my fiancé got a call from HR, short, formal tone, a few, yeah, got it, and then the news that seemed to cut me in half. A salary equalization of plus $10,000 right now, and in a month, another percentage increase. Plus, informally, as the promotion in the near future. He put the phone on the table, and there was that glow in his eyes that only appears when you are finally seen. I hugged him, said, proud of you, and at that very moment I felt a quiet click inside me. Joy for him and anger at the system went on parallel tracks, not mixing like oil and water. We have been working in the same company for over 5 years. He is a developer in a tech team. They have a grade ladder, clear criteria, reviews, market rates. I am in online learning. A team that was supposed to be 5 to 7 people shrank to 2, me and my colleague. The rest of the rates were temporarily redistributed and our temporary stretched out for years. Formally, I am still listed as an expert conducting in-person classes, although I have been building courses from scratch for a long time. Analysis, script, storyboard, recording, editing, animation, interactive activities, publishing in LMS, and endless reports. At the same time, we are asked to throw together a brochure, design a flyer, take a couple of photos for an article. You are creative. Salary and job title have nothing to do with this reality. HR has been working on the issue for 3 years, forwarding letters with the subject almost agreed. When we moved under the technical department, this happened 3 years ago temporarily, I thought we would be heard. Now our project words have become, for now, after the budget cycle. We'll get back to this in the fall. Fall is a mythological bird in our company. I learned to speak calmly, bring numbers on course completion metrics, calculations of savings due to internal development, a portfolio of cases. And I learned to leave meetings every time with a polite, yes, you're right, we need to get to work, and silence afterward. A call to HR Sasha, let me call him by his name, became the trigger. It's not his fault. He worked hard. It's not my complaint. He even asked if his joy hurt me. It hurts me because of how easily the mechanism moves when we talk about a subordinate engineer gets more than a leading one, and how much it gets stuck when we ask for an elementary coincidence of a fact and a position. Welcome to the new employee. Immediately flew into the general chat. The newcomer comes under Sasha. We have no one under no one. If one of us leaves, the other will get everything that is not burning. And for us, burning is always. After work, we decided to celebrate. Inexpensive Prosecco, cheese, apples. Sasha talked about an architectural solution that had not been accepted for a long time, but is now praised as a standard. I listened, and each of his finally heard responded in me with subtle envy. I did not want it. It is like dust from which you cannot hide. And yet I smiled sincerely. His success is our life and our plans and our contribution to the common life. It is just that somewhere on the side, the fatigue from later was accumulating. At night, I opened my laptop to finish the audio for a module that should have been launched yesterday. This is a familiar therapy. When the plot of your life is not moving, you move the timeline. In the mail, an invite to tomorrow's meeting, HR plus Tech organizational updates. Comments are disabled. I mechanically scrolled through the corporate dashboard and came across the document, Comp Adjustments FY Access. Read only. Nothing secret, but honest statistics without corporate cosmetics. There everything was as if under a ruler. Grades, revisions, market adjustments, notes, retention risk, high, medium. Engineers had amounts and dates in our section Training Content. Opposite 2 lines there was a gray to be reviewed, Q4/FY26. In the comment of the boss, a short postscript. You can postpone. The girls from training are loyal. They will not leave until it is urgent. I reread it twice because the first time these words did not fit into reality. Loyal, they will not leave. Like about furniture that was moved to the wall. I took a screenshot almost automatically and closed the tab. My heart was pounding in my throat. At that moment, I wasn't angry at Sasha. I was angry at how they see us as an infinitely stretchable resource. My colleague and I keep the entire cycle afloat, from a meeting with a subject teacher where he throws chaotic facts on the table to a ready-made course that hundreds of employees take. We save the company tens of thousands of dollars because we don't outsource it. But this is not urgent. The mail squeaked again. Sorry, invalid addressee, link expired, and from HR then came a new invite, this time with a limited circle of addressees. I clicked on the old nested table. It opened the final version. An additional section appeared at the bottom, redistribution of functions. Opposite our department, it said, decomposition of tasks between marketing and internal communications vacancies should not be opened until the next financial year. And in brackets, consider reducing the role of SME instructor, combination with the function of content manager. It took my breath away. It wasn't just later, it was taking us apart and leaving us without support. And the worst thing is, I wasn't even surprised. It just became very quiet, like after a door slams when you haven't yet decided whether to run after the one who left or turn around and start packing boxes. Sasha went into the kitchen for water, half asleep. "Are you awake?" I closed the screen. I said, "I'm finishing the voiceover." He nodded and went back. I looked at the black rectangle of the laptop lid and understood that tomorrow, at the organizational updates, they would tell us smoothly, without details, with the promise, "Nothing will change for you right now. And in a month, everything will change completely." I opened the messenger and typed to my colleague, "Let's talk in the morning. There's something important." My fingers hovered over the send button. I didn't know what was better, to quietly prepare a resume or raise this issue publicly and loudly. I wasn't sure if Sasha was ready to hear that I was shaking not because of his success, but because our work was simply being erased from the company's description. At 9, meeting before 9, choice save screenshots and keep quiet, go to HR with facts, bring the document to a general meeting before it gets hidden deeper. I pressed send to my colleague and set the alarm for 6:30. And then, almost falling asleep, I caught myself thinking, if I keep quiet tomorrow, this department will soon cease to exist, and then silence will become my signature on their decision. At that moment, another notification popped up in my mail. An internal post about a new appointment has been approved. Inside, there was a congratulation to Sasha on being appointed team leader for the project where that newcomer would appear. I smiled automatically, and suddenly noticed a tiny link at the bottom, associated changes in supporting teams. I clicked on it. A document opened with 2 paragraphs and 1 bold line, which I reread 3 times before I believed it. And if that's true, then tomorrow I'll have to choose more than just words. I'll have to choose a side. The bold line in the related changes was short and icy. Temporary curator of the online learning function. Alexander K., coordination of prioritization and budget until the decomposition is complete. Below it, in small print, communications and decisions on resources are to be conducted through the curator, that is, through my fiancé. Not because he asked, because it is easier for the system. Put a familiar face on top and break us down into tasks, like spare parts without a product passport. I looked at these 2 lines and felt my throat tighten. It wasn't jealousy, but rather a nagging, unfair tightness. You spend 3 years explaining that the function isn't creative girls, but a production line with its own standards. And then they take and assign to it a person who has nothing to do with us, simply because he's a leader and tech. I knew. Sasha wasn't in the know. He has other equations in his head now. In the morning, I got up before the alarm and collected in one document everything that we usually carry in pieces. Course completion metrics, savings on internal development, release plans, real labor costs. I did it mechanically so as not to think about the word curator. Just in case, I printed out 1 page, the one with the bold line, and put it in a folder. In the kitchen, Sasha was spreading peanut butter on toast, looking sleepy and happy. "Are you nervous about the call?" he asked. "A little," I admitted. "It seems there will be things that they forgot to tell us out loud." He suddenly became attentive. He put down the knife, wiped his palms. "If this is about your team, I'm with you. I'll stand next to you." I opened the laptop and turned the screen towards him. He read that bold line and sat down with his back on an invisible stool, slowly, as if from a weight that had suddenly fallen. "I didn't know anything about this," he said after a pause. "I was given the team lead for the project yesterday and I was happy. But this," he tapped the line, "I will not accept a role if it makes you dependent. It's not about me," I answered. "The thing is that we are not even considered subjects." He nodded. "Let's do it this way. I'll say directly on the call that I found out about this now and I don't agree without discussion." I suddenly exhaled, not because he chose my side, but because he saw a problem in the same place where it hurts for me. At 9, we had a general meeting. The screen was divided into tiles of faces. HR manager Irina, even voice, perfect hairdo. Our department director Grigory, that same grin that I know too well. Several more managers, a couple of engineers, Sasha, Mylena, with red eyes. She obviously hadn't slept. Irina began canonically. "We are taking a step towards better alignment of processes." Slides were flipped through. Squares, arrows, synergy. On one of the pages, a familiar block appeared. Decomposition of training functions. The wording was impersonal, smooth, like buttons in an elevator. "Press any one. You'll still get where you're being taken." "Questions?" Irina asked. I raised my hand. Please clarify what it means to conduct communications through a curator? Who exactly is the curator and who made this decision? It was quiet for a second. Grigory leaned forward. This is a temporary story, he said. To avoid chaos, we need one contact point. Alexander, is in a leadership role. It's easier for him to coordinate. Nothing is changing for you right now. Sasha turned on the microphone. Let me clarify. I learned about this morning from a document, and I am against being appointed over a function in which I am not an expert, without consulting with the people who do it. A moment of bewilderment crossed Grigory's face. Alexander, this is an organizational measure, nothing more. The irritated hinges creaked in his voice. Don't be dramatic. I'm not being dramatic, I said. I'm trying to capture reality. We have 2 people covering the full cycle of content production. We asked to formalize roles and pay for 3 years. Yesterday, a note appeared in a document available to managers. The girls from training are loyal, they won't leave, until it's burning. I quote verbatim. The pause became different. Chilly, someone turned off the camera. Irina blinked more often. We would prefer to discuss such things offline, she said, to avoid misunderstandings. There are no misunderstanding, I answered, and opened the call chat. I quoted. My fingers typed into the chat themselves. The girls from the training are loyal, they won't leave until it burns. Comment to the block to be reviewed Q4 FY26, I added. I asked the author to confirm or deny and pressed enter. The message hung for 3 seconds and disappeared, deleted by the organizer. Something angry and very sober clicked in my chest. Why was the message deleted? I asked out loud. This is offline. Only the recording. Grigory smiled with that same edge of his lips. Because internal work comments are not intended for wide discussion. And are they intended for decisions that affect people? Lena asked unexpectedly firmly. Or are they also not burning yet? Irina quickly suggested, moving to separate rooms to discuss issues individually. The screen flickered, and the 3 of us were torn away from the common room. Me, Sasha, Irina. The small sign, Breakout 2 in the corner, looked comical for what was actually happening. I'll say right away, Irina began evenly. The wording about loyalty is incorrect. We'll figure it out. But we have 2 paths for the coming months, and I'd like to outline them. She looked down, checking her notes. The first, you. She nodded to me, are accepted into the expanded role of content manager without changing your grade, but with a promise of a review in the new financial year. The functions are distributed between marketing and communications, but you are the assembly point. That is, I do the same thing plus other people's tasks, I clarified. In the second option, Irina paused. We are launching the process of optimizing the role of SME instructor and offering you a package with severance pay. In any case, Alexander will act as a curator for budgeting during the transition period. This has already been agreed upon. Sasha opened his mouth but closed it and looked at me. I felt something calm rise in me, like water reaching the edges and becoming smooth. I have a third option, I said. It will start with me officially recording in a letter the fact of a discriminatory comment and the lack of agreement on the role of curator. The copy will include managers and compliance. And there will also be our metrics and an economic calculation of why decomposition is a loss for the company. Irina frowned slightly, for the first time in a long time. Are you sure you want to take this out of the room? I'm sure I don't want to live in the gray zone of later anymore, I answered. If we are adults, let's speak in adult words and on a visible plane. At that moment, a new notification popped up on the screen. Invitation, 1-to-1, discussion of the role of the curator, organizer. Grigory participants, Alexander, Grigory. Time. 20 minutes later, Sasha turned pale, glanced at me and then back at Ira. Sorry, he said. But before that call, I need to understand. Do we have the same rules with the company or different ones? If they are different, I have something to say. Irina opened her mouth to answer. And I already had a draft letter ready in my mail to the address HR-all. I looked at the send button and understood that after it would no longer be possible to pretend that we were simply loyal and won't leave. I moved the cursor to the button and Irina said, if you click send, it will be difficult to roll back. That's exactly what I'm trying to achieve, I said, sighed and pressed the letter left quietly at first. It simply disappeared from the drafts, and then robotic responses began buzzing along the chain. Received, taken into work, thanks for the transparency. In the copy were HR-all, compliance, the department director, and a couple more people whom I knew only by their last names in the org chart I attached. Metrics, calculation of savings, a list of releases, a screenshot of the comment, loyal, will not leave, and a short requirement to schedule an official meeting with the participation of compliance to exclude a conflict of interest. Sasha, from the curatorial role, and to make a decision on the function after a formal review and not behind the scenes a minute later, I received a personal message from Irina. Let's not escalate. We're already in the process. I took a deep breath and typed, 3 years in the process today, in shape. I sent it. It immediately became easier, like after a long dive, when you finally throw the stagnant air out of your lungs. Sasha left for his one-to-one with Grigori. Before that, he stopped at the door and said, in any case, I will not accept the curator. If they start to press, I will call you to the conversation. If they start to press, ask for written confirmation, I answered, and say that compliance already has the materials. He nodded and disappeared. A reaction whistled into the general chat. Several eye emojis, a lisping, thank you for raising it, from one of the lawyers. A dry, received, we will clarify the composition of the participants. Lena wrote to me in a personal message. You are brave. I would not have decided. I replied, I am not brave. I am tired. And sent her a link to a document with our indicators. If they hit you, it will be hit me too, Lena said. And in this was that trust of the workshop that no positions can invent. 20 minutes later, an invitation flashed on my screen. Facts and context meeting with compliance. The organizer was a woman named Alina from a trusted department where everyone rarely spoke and wrote down a lot. The time was today, 15:30. I looked at the calendar. Before that, general with HR, then a 2-hour voiceover recording, a lunch window somewhere between the tabs. For a second, everything seemed strangely organized, as if someone had sorted my chaos into trays and labeled them with markers. Sasha came back. He looked as if he had come out of a room where it had been stuffy at first, and then the air conditioning had suddenly been turned on. And? I asked. Briefly, curator, temporary measure, don't take it personally. The company trusts you. He spoke evenly, but his fingers were clenched. I said no. I asked to remove me from this and formalize the review. Grigori said that this would call into question my readiness for leadership. And you? I said that leadership also means knowing where the conflict of interest is and not going there. He grinned and said, let's see how you sing after the review. Then he sent an invite. Let's discuss it together without HR. I refused. He fell silent and added more quietly, and it seems he's really angry. I wanted to hug him, but I was afraid that the touch would tear off the thin film that kept us both collected. Instead, I served myself some oatmeal, ate 3 spoons, and left the spoon in the bowl. It would have cooled there all day if it weren't for my habit of finishing what I started. At the general meeting with HR, Irina voiced a new version, verified to the last half centimeter. We never said girls, that's a misunderstanding. Curator, exclusively about budgets. The role of the function will be enlarged. At that point, I had already learned to listen like a stenographer, to separate words from meanings and put into separate lines what was not said. The translation from the corporate one sounded like this. We're saving face, but the decision has been made. At the end, Lena asked, can we see the competency matrix according to which the enlargement is done? This is an internal methodology, Ira answered, but we will share the principles. Principles are good, I said. Only decisions are made based on documents. You'll see the documents. Ira smiled as if she had recommended a good TV series to us. After the call, I collected everything in one folder. Letters, invites, a screenshot with a comment, our long list of tasks with real deadlines. I wrote to Alaprosh with a list of participants for 15:30 and the possibility of adding Lena as a witness in the process. She replied, I'll add it. I'll also ask Irina for the source documents and the history of edits for the last 48 hours. I felt almost physical relief. Finally, someone other than me says the words, history of edits. In the afternoon, one of the subject teachers called, the same one with whom we did the course on security and who doesn't like your LMS at all, but he completed this course. I saw your letter, he said, slightly embarrassed. If necessary, I will write a review. What you are doing is not creative. We would have spent 3 months collecting this without you. I thanked him, and he awkwardly added, I don't want problems, but if something depends on me, tell me. It depends on you telling the truth, I answered. And that what you say will remain not only in your mouth. I opened my resume. Not because I was going to leave immediately, but to regain a sense of subjectivity. I am a person with a set of skills, and not a loyal resource unit. I wrote down the latest courses, figures, budget saved. I caught myself writing manage the development cycle, and grinned. Here it is, a real position that I don't have. At 15:30, we entered the Sapphire Cold compliance room. The screen is divided into squares. Alina has a neutral face and attentive eyes. This is a conversation without judgment, she said. Facts, sources, consequences. In turn, I posted the timeline. are transferred to the tech department. Promises, metrics, letters, invites, a document with final, a screenshot of a comment, a deleted message in the chat. I asked to record. Sasha is my partner, and his curatorial role creates a conflict of interest. Lena added her own. Over the past year, we have fulfilled the volume of 3 people. I also saw the to-be-reviewed document. Sasha confirmed. I did not ask for the curator role. I learned about the node today. Alina kept asking clarifying questions. Who is the author of the comment? Is there a version log? Who deleted the message from the chat? I answered where I knew and honestly said I don't know where I didn't know. In the end, she said, I will ask Arena for the source code and logs. Until the end of the review, please do not take any actions that could be interpreted as pressure on the process. Transfer, revoking access, appointing curators. And if such actions are already being taken, I asked, then this is a separate point to record, she answered calmly. After turning off the camera, for the first time that day, I felt not anger, but simple fatigue, as if I'd been holding a heavy tray with my arms outstretched all day, and now I could at least put it on the table. I got up, walked to the kitchen, poured water. A message from Grigori flashed on my phone. Don't complicate things. No one wants to hurt you. Stop escalating, and we will discuss your future after the new budget cycle. I reread it twice. I smiled joylessly and forwarded the screenshot to Alina as an addition to the case. By evening, when empty cups start clinking in the office and people turn off the lamps on their desks, a red line flashes on my calendar. Consultation on role optimization. Organizer, HR service. Once a sympathetic girl from People Care. Time, in 30 minutes. Subject, annoyingly neutral. Changes in structure and possible options. Under it are 2 sentences in small print. Please come without an escort, the meeting is confidential. I stared at the screen. My fingertips went cold, as if I was holding an ice cube. It was a quick attempt to put me in front of the fact. While compliance is requesting logs, I wrote to Alina, I received an invite to role optimization right now. The answer came instantly. Do not attend. Refer to the open investigation. I will write to Ira. I exhaled, typed to Ira. According to the compliance letter, the meeting is postponed until the end of the audit. Please confirm. Sent a minute later came, okay, we'll reschedule. No hello, no sorry, just okay. And for some reason, it was this okay that hit the hardest, like a pat on the head. Lena, having read my forwarded okay, wrote, listen, what if they hold back anyway? I have a half offer from an external agency. I didn't want to talk until I got a letter, but if anything happens, I'll leave. I'm not a hero. You don't have to, I replied. Neither be a hero nor stay. And you? I looked at my open folder of evidence, at my resume, at the list of releases. I'm not talking about staying now. I'm talking about not letting them rewrite our contribution to the past. And then we'll see. Late in the evening, Sasha sat down next to the laptop, resting his forehead on my shoulder. I received a letter to confirm my readiness for a new role in promo, he said. And at the bottom, the curatorship item hasn't been removed yet. What are you going to do? I'll refuse while it's there. If I lose the promo, I'll lose it. I don't want to build a staircase that you can't walk up. The words grew heavy in my throat. I nodded silently. He took my hand as if we were standing on a bridge in windy weather. The phone beeped again. Letter from Alina. Received version history comment, loyal won't leave, left by Grigory. Later deleted logs of message deletion in chat. From the organizer's side, we are recording interference. I reread and felt something inside fall into place. Not a victory, not the genre, but for the first time in a long time, I saw a direct line from fact to conclusion. I was about to close my laptop when another email popped up. Short, dry, without a header. Subject, access change. Text, due to restructuring, access to a number of documents, training content section, has been temporarily restricted. Access will be restored after rights are updated. Signature, system. I clicked on our work folder. Refused. On the file with the release plan. Refused on the metrics dashboard. Refused. Lena responded at the same moment. Me too. I automatically dialed Alina. Our access was cut off, and before I could finish writing what to do, a new notification appeared on the screen. A meeting scheduled by Grigori for tomorrow morning. Discussion of the status of the function and personal prospects. Participants, him, Irina, me. No compliance time, 9 o'clock. Comment, important. Sasha looked at me and said, I'll go with you. Invite without you, I answered. Then I'll go in without an invite. I smiled with the corner of my lips, and at the same second another letter arrived from an external address without a signature. If you want to be heard, invite Yulia O, VP of Product, to a meeting. She saved QA from the same consolidation 2 years ago. No greeting, no explanation. Just a line and a name. I looked at this name like a rope hanging down into a well, and I understood. If I pull now, something heavy will rise from the depths. Noise, conflict, consequences. But if I don't pull, we will be dragged down in silence. I opened the calendar, found Yulia, clicked invite. The invitation letter flickered in the air, and at that moment the screen flashed. The organizer canceled the meeting. Reason, change in the manager's schedule. Right there was a new invite from Grigory for the same time, but without the ability to invite participants. The room was meeting room 7. At the bottom was a gray note. Meeting recording disabled. I looked at Sasha. He said quietly, "They are going to close the matter quickly and without witnesses." I nodded, and at that moment another thread lit up in the mail. A response from Yulia. "I see the events. If you need my perspective, I am nearby. I have not received an invitation." I put my fingers on the keyboard to type yes to her, but I didn't have time. A system notification popped up on the screen which made my ears pop, like on a plane making a hard landing. Tomorrow at 8:30, meeting notification of change in working conditions. Participants, HR service, employee, management representative. In the field, management representative, there was one name, Grigory. The notification, 8:30, change in working conditions, kept me awake until late at night. Every hour I checked my mail as if something could have changed. But in the morning, exactly at 8:25, I was already standing at the glass conference room, meeting room 5. The table is long. On it is a bottle of water and 3 glasses. On the other side are Irina with a stone-flat face and Grigory, casually scrolling through his tablet. "Sit down," he said without looking up from the screen. Irina began in a soft, almost maternal voice. "We want you to understand that the company values your contribution, but due to the restructuring, we are offering you 2 options: an expanded role while maintaining your current grade, or a package during optimization, and not a single way where we are recognized for the fact of work and correctly assessed." I interrupted. Irina sighed. "This is impossible within the current budget." I pulled out a printout of the savings figures for 3 years from the folder and put it on the table. "Here are the figures that Lena and I brought to the company. This is not creative work for an internal portal. These are budgets saved." "And you say there is no budget?" Grigory finally tore himself away from the tablet and looked straight ahead. "You are being very loud for a person in your position." "For a person in my position, who knows that in the comments about him they write, 'Loyal, won't leave'?" I asked, looking him in the eyes. "Yes, I am loud." At that moment, the door opened and Yulia, VP of Product, walked into the room, uninvited, laptop in hand. "Sorry for intruding," she said, "but I saw the correspondence and came as a stakeholder. If you're discussing a change to a key feature that supports the product, I want to hear it." Irina visibly tensed up. "This is an internal HR process. This is a business process," Yulia answered calmly. "And I'll remind you that a year ago we already lost QA in almost the same way until we proved their value." She turned her laptop toward us. On the screen were user engagement charts linked to internal trainings. A clear correlation. Where new courses appeared, the number of incidents decreased. "This has a direct impact on the product." Yulia turned to me. "Give me your materials. I will integrate them into the overall report." I handed over the flash drive. Grigory tried to object, but Yulia cut him off. "First check, then make decisions. For now, freeze any changes to the function for 60 days. Irina wrote something down. Grigory pressed his lips together. I felt like the tension in the room could be cut with a knife. An hour later, Yulia and I left. She stopped in the corridor. "You have a strong case, but get ready. 60 days is not a victory, it's a delay. Collect everything that proves that we can't do without you." "We've already started," I replied. In the evening, I returned to Lena. We sat in a small conference room surrounded by folders and printouts and wrote a plan. What metrics, reviews, and case examples from recent years we would bring to the surface. Sasha came in and put a bag of coffee and chocolate on the table. "Your war is just beginning," he said quietly. "But today, you made it visible." And for the first time in these days, I felt not fatigue, but a quiet, resilient determination. Not because we had already won, but because we had stopped being loyal. They won't leave. Now we were the ones who spoke out loud, and if we have to, we will speak until we are heard.